Hi and welcome. I'm Iris Benrubi, your host, and today we're on the series, a 10-week series on building relationships in isolation. And the reason that I picked this topic is the one thing that we know is the number one key to success in life, both personal and business, is relationships. And this time of coronavirus, where our access to people, both face to face and touching, and restaurants and coffee meetings, all of that is so limited. So we need to come up with a new paradigm and new strategies. And I'm really excited to have here Unstoppable Tracy. Welcome, Tracy.
Oh, thank you, incredible Iris. What a phenomenal day to be with you today.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad you joined us. And I'd love for you to share with our audience how you came to be where you are now. So unstoppable.
Unstoppable. Well, number one is who you surround yourself with. And it's interesting, we're talking about this environment right now, and I surrounded myself with Iris Benrubi, right? The phenomenal MA in counseling and psychology. She and I are in a Millionaires Network group together as businesswomen thriving. And that's who you surround yourself with. So, January 2017, after a big journey. I had been a bronze medalist in skiing and climbed the Himalayas. I was in Oprah magazine as a raw beauty when I was campaigning as a World Cup sailor, as a World Cup sailor sailing against able-bodied men. But none of that time did anybody know me. But in January of 2017, I surrounded myself with phenomenal people like yourself, and I skyrocketed by sharing with the world. And so it's really funny that right now you're saying it is so important that we don't stop connecting and stop building relationships and stop being with people, even though we can't touch or be in proximity with others. And it is that, who you surround yourself with that skyrocketed me to 60 million viral views with that kindergarten story.
Beautiful. And I want to take this even deeper. You
Okay.
know, you competed against able-bodied sailors.
Yeah.
What had you come up? I would imagine you must have a lot of obstacles, or maybe they're just opportunities
Yes.
that you faced in your life. And it's so easy for anyone who's watching, myself included. Sometimes it's just like, maybe it's just not meant to be. Maybe I should just give up. What's helped you get to this place where nothing stops you? Not skiing, Himalayas, everything. You're a decorated athlete. You're a aspiring para-Olympian athlete as well. So tell us how you got there. What's your journey been?
So for those of you that can't fully see, you'll notice I'm missing my hands. And for those just listening maybe and can't see, I'm also missing my legs. I'm a four-way amputee. And why that is part of this answer is that I am so lucky to have been born limitless. And I spell limitless with a B because I was born limitless. And it really was a blessing, right? The blessing in the badness, shall we say, right? It was because I was born this way. I was still just a baby who saw a cookie and I wanted to figure out how to grab that cookie, right? And I was still a little girl in kindergarten who wanted to go to kindergarten with all the kids on my street. And I was still a girl that wanted to work and wanted to date and wanted to dance. And so I was just very lucky to be born a four-way amputee. And I learned that people very quickly underestimate. Oh, that's very inspiring, but I'm sorry you can't work here. Oh, yeah, you're a four-way amputee. I don't know if I can date you. Oh, I don't have to worry. I can put this cookie right here, says my mom. She's not going to be able to get it. Well, I fooled all of them, right? You just figure out a way. But because I was born this way, I disrupt the norm every day. How I'm going to hold my mug of tea with one finger and an elbow, or how I'm going to find that cookie. So I'm really lucky to have been born this way because I learned that everybody says no and every first try doesn't work. And so I learned that you try again, and if you don't give up, you eventually succeed. And so that brought me into the adult Tracy.
That's awesome. And I really want to bring that into a segue with today's day and age where it feels like there's a lot of obstacles, there's a lot of hard stops. what's the opportunity? You took your journey, found your opportunities, and you succeeded. And you probably super succeeded over and above what a lot of people gave you credit for. So for the people that are listening that may be struggling with something in their personal life or
Yeah.
in their business world where our normal has been disruptive, what's the new normal that you see as possible?
Oh, can I tell you that often we think we're at the end of the rope, right? We're like, "Oh my gosh, my world has ended." You know, in my world, I'm a speaker, 24 events have canceled. That represents $200,000 worth of income.
Mhm.
And I could be devastated right now. And I'm not, because I'm so lucky to have lived through other crises to see. So, for example, I remember uh, spending 3 months living in my car trying to get the attention of Magnus Lidgedal till he finally said, "Go sailing." And then I spent 3 months cleaning up and fixing a boat that had an animal living in it while still living in my car a lot of that time. And I finally, after 6 months, remember, after 12 years of training 24/7 as an athlete, and then 6 months of leaving family, leaving relationships, leaving housing, leaving income, living down there, I go on a race. And right on the start line, before I even begin, this older gentleman accidentally, it's kind of like when you're parked at a light, it's not your fault if a drunk rear ends you, right? You're fully stopped. There's nothing you can do. And that's kind of what happened to me in one of my first races in the real competitive circle. And he drove a hole in my boat. And then when he turned away, he grabbed the shrouds on my mast, and it took down my mast of my boat and crushed my deck. And the wires sliced me up with a gazillion bleeding cuts. And it's just like the end of this 12-year journey. It was the start of the Paralympic potential, getting noticed and living in my car for 6 months and fixing up this boat 5:30 in the morning every day for 365 days, waking up at 5:30 and going to bed at midnight, working on this sailing journey. And this man puts a hole and crashes my mast before my first race. So I am devastated on the dock. I'm bawling my eyes out. And and this man comes along and he says, "Tracy, are you okay?" And I'm like, I don't even want to look at him because I'm crying. And all I can see is these big, hairy feet right beside me. And I look up, and it's this like 7 foot tall Swedish person. And I don't really want to look at him because I'm unstoppable positive Tracy. So I'm trying to kind of be not visibly sad by what's happened to this boat at the dock. And I said, "I'm fine. I'm fine." And he says, rough day, hey." And I'm like, "Yes, rough day." So he leaves me alone. Well, in the morning, I'm sleeping in my car and everybody's going to race. And they're like, "Come on, Tracy, come on, Tracy." And I'm thinking, I don't have a boat to race. Why are they saying, "Come on, Tracy"? And somebody finally says, "How did you fix your boat? You must have worked all night." That's a miracle. Even a superstar engineer couldn't do that. I'm totally confused. And he had fixed my boat with 5 famous engineers. Harkin is a famous brand in the sailing world. And so if I hadn't have crashed that boat, I wouldn't have discovered this new, better, beautiful. He fixed my boat up in a much better way than it ever was before I crashed it. And Shoppers Drug Mart, the government used to pay pharmacy, and then overnight they cut it. Well, it caused them to increase beauty and increase baby and increase food. And Shoppers Drug Mart outperformed the stock market, and they're the big box format that you see today. So it was good that pharmacy got cut. It was good that my boat got crashed. It was good that I was born four-way amputee, born disabled, so that I got this unstoppable attitude, so that I am limitless
That's
and
beautiful.
you are limitless.
Yeah, I
and
was
and
going to
so
say,
that's why.
you've taken what many people would see as insurmountable obstacles, and you've seen the opportunity in it, and you've overcome it. You've learned strategies. You took the hit literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
You felt sad, and yet something came along, something you could have never planned for came along and gave you a new opportunity to compete.
Yes. A new, and that feels a little bit like a magic wand. You're like, well, sure, you got the magic wand solution with Harkin, but I think it's important to distinguish with 12 years of training and 6 months of 5:30 a.m. at midnight. Harkin wouldn't have known me if I was a Nobi. Harkin saw my diligence and saw my tenacity so that he too wanted to keep me feeling unstoppable. So have you been unstoppable in your journey where right now you're stopped because of the coronavirus, and instead are you watching Netflix and napping, or are you like Iris reinventing and creating webinars and generously sharing with the world this 10-part video series of solutions? Be sure to surround yourself with people like the Harkins for my sailing world, and like I do in my relationship management world, I surround myself with Iris. Who are you surrounding yourself with, and are you being unstoppable like Iris with this video part series that she's generously sharing for free with the world? Are you making a difference for others?
Beautiful. So my next question to you is, so what is the opportunity? What's the silver lining in this coronavirus that the whole world is shutting down borders, accessibility?
Well, I think it is relationship building. I see all of my friends for many years, as their kids become teenagers, they're losing touch with those conversations. And now they're like playing badminton in the house. And now they're filming funny videos where the crazy wild hair shaking their heads around and doing a 15-second funny video. And so I see these relationships building with their teenagers. And for myself as an entrepreneur, I've been on the stage, 20 cities since Christmas, 20 countries in 2020, and I haven't taken time to build my online webinars and series for people that can't be with me on the stage and in those rooms. And so now I'm taking the opportunity to rebuild that, and I've had the opportunity to reconnect with family around the world, and I've had the opportunity to leverage those relationships. I'm visiting all my old clients and having new conversations with them to say, what about a webinar while your team is stuck? Right? And so reopening closed business relationships. So it's really great in love, in family, in teenagers, in business. It's just deepening relationships that as a traveler that's around the world, I am just not getting chance.
Because what I'm hearing is that you're not allowing your external circumstances to impact who you are, your actions, and your outcome. And it's the same thing here in coronavirus. We can focus on the borders are closed, we can't meet for coffee, we can't meet face to face, holidays are coming up, we can't get together, right? All of that, right? And so we get a choice to how we show up in the world, what opportunities we create. And I love that you talked about that this is about relationships. One of the things that my daughter-in-law is doing, she's actually gathering rocks for her children to paint and put happy messages, and they're going to go drop it off at the neighbors' houses.
Oh,
What
oh, I've got a tear in my eye. Oh my gosh. Look, my nose is going red. You made me like happy sad. That's beautiful, Iris. That's beautiful.
it is. And so there's an opportunity. I'm going to just kind of recap what you said. There's an opportunity for everyone, no matter where you are, what's going on, if you're quarantined, if you're going stir crazy, whether you've had losses or you're anxious, you get to choose your mindset and how you are perceiving the world and what's available. I'll actually share with you a very quick story. Many years ago, my son said to me when we were skiing, "Mom, why are you skiing such big S's?" And I said, "Because if someone comes in front of me, I can't stop." He said, "Mom, you're not supposed to stop. You're supposed to change directions." And that was such a big aha. The opportunity for us to change directions. We get to create a new normal the way that you created a new normal for you.
Yes, and I'm doing it again. I'm reinventing Unstoppable Tracy and Unstoppable You again. But it isn't about Unstoppable Tracy. It is about Unstoppable Iris and Unstoppable listeners, the unstoppable world.
Beautiful. So if people want to know where they can get a hold of you, where can they do that?
Oh, Unstoppable Tracy. Tracy. I was born with no hands and no legs, no extra parts. I didn't need them. I was lucky. And I also spell my name Tracy with no extra E, no extra parts. So, and unstoppable is so unstoppable. There's two P's. Unstoppable Tracy, all one word. And that's YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Tracy, I want to say thank you so much for sharing everything that you did with us today, for being the role model of what's possible and the difference you make in the world.